if you normally don't date guys that make $100,000 a year, or you normally don't date women that have themselves together and that's a virgin and that's, caring and all these other things, stuff like that, just like, wait a minute, then what do you normally date? The first thing I would think is that you have to, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with shooting for something high, but I like to look at probability than possibility. There's a very high chance that this is probably gonna happen. There's a very high chance that you can meet someone that's a great guy, a great girl, that doesn't have too much baggage or whatever the case may be, and that you can get along and y'all can build together and become something great. But if you're looking for someone that makes over $300,000, or that's been a virgin for 25 years and everything else, most women are not virgins for 25 years. Like let's be honest. Or you're looking for someone that's not just charismatic. She got to hold the conversation. She has to be able to cook, clean, and everything else. Then you got to think about it. Why would they choose you if they've been waiting for the perfect person for them, or the person that fits their standard? Let's say that the person that fits their standard. Why would they wait for you? It comes down to, it's like, yo, what are you offering to these people that you think that you should be able to have? And again, let's go back to the other question, right? What did you date last? Did you date average, above average? What type of person did you date? So it's like, if you dated an average or above average person, all right, let's see. If you date an average or above average person, then I'm thinking this, right? Above average person thinking, how come you couldn't retain them? How come you couldn't retain her? Why didn't she say, you know what? For you being the guy that you are, I'm going to stick with you through better or for worse. Why? Not even saying anything about marriage, but why did that relationship end? Oh, she cheated. If she cheated, then she didn't really want you. I'm just saying. She didn't. Because if she wanted you, she would make sure that she did nothing like that to cross those lines. Why you couldn't keep him? You didn't provide, or you didn't do anything for him other than what everybody else did for him. And that's the same thing for her too. You couldn't keep up because you didn't do nothing special for her. You didn't stand out in that way of like, man, I think we can do this together. No, you did not do it. So it's like, brings back full circle. Are your standards too high? Are you constantly dating people? Let's say, for example, if you've been on 5 different dates with 5 different guys, 5 different women. Because at this point, like, sex doesn't even matter. It's like the genders thing. Like, no, if you've been on 5 different dates and no one has pulled the card on you, and let's say, for example, you say you got the cards in your hand, right? And you turn all 5 down. Mind you, you chose these people. This is not something that they chose you per se. It's when you ask somebody on a date, it comes into agreements. Hey, we agree to go on a date. If she likes me, she agree to go on a date with me. If I like her, I agree to go on a date with her. Or I'll go up there and ask her myself. But it's like, wait a minute. Going up there, approaching her, asking her out on a date. We must have something in common. I must bring something to her at this very moment that she'd be like, no, I will give this guy a chance. And it can be the same thing, vice versa. She's looking at you from a standpoint of, you know what? I like this guy enough to go on a date with him to get to know him more. And from that date, depending on how things go, it depends on if we're going to get serious, I'm not going to call this person again anymore. And that's the same thing for him. He's really determining on, okay, is the vibe good? Is the talking points right? What is going on in this dating? Or why have all 5 of my past relationships have failed? And if we look at your past relationship, question is, are they, again, high standards? Are they low standards? What are they? If all of those low standards, then why the hell are you going for someone so high? Well, maybe because the low standards didn't work. That makes sense. That makes sense. But what I would ask is, where are you setting that standard from those? Like, how big is it a gap between the people that you already were dating to the people that you're dating now? Are you trying to date now? You know, because either way, even with the low standard, let's say just low standards, whatever the case is, you can keep them, or you didn't want to keep them. That's the other part. So it's like, if we're talking about how long can you keep this up? Oh, they lied too much. Okay, they lied too much. Hey, that if someone's constantly lying to you, I do not think that you should be in a relationship with them. I'll just say that. I don't think you should be in a relationship if someone's constantly lying to you. But again, now, I would say this, right? You chose to be with that person. So it's like, if you right away stopped it, cool. If you let it go on for a while, hey, so be it. But either way, that was a choice. Just like how you choose to be with someone else, you can choose to be like, okay, you know what? This works for me. I can deal with this. That's what I mean. Like, my honest opinion is that there is no perfect person. At least as far as when you're trying to date or just be in a relationship, right? I think there's always someone to build with. Like, I can teach you how to love me the way I want to be loved. Okay, when you do this, that shows me that you love me. Really? Yeah, that's all you gotta do. To me, it becomes simple when you are able to teach someone the things that really help you out. And that's the same thing vice versa. Okay, if she tells me, hey, if you were to do this right here would show me that you love me, I'm gonna do it. Because how I see love may be different from how you see love. But with that being said, she doesn't come perfectly understanding how I see love. You know? So it's like, well, in what part of are you willing to deal with? So here's a short story, right? Let's say a guy was dating a girl and she was constantly doing stuff that he didn't approve of. She was just constantly doing stuff he didn't approve of, right? But for that first year, he rolled that out. He rolled it out. Sometimes he was on a breaking point of like breaking it off with her, but he rolled it out with her, right? Then he slowly but surely started working on things. Let's say, okay, she talks so disrespectful. He worked on that with her. Worked on that with her for a whole year. Got her to calm down with all the disrespect. Got her to be more open to his way of thinking. And it turns out they end up getting married and being happy. And that right there shows you that at least they was able to coexist with each other, even though that she was doing stuff that he didn't approve of. He stuck it through. I know this person. He stuck it through. And I was like, man, you know, on the outside looking in, people say, oh, you should leave that person. You should leave that person. The moment they start doing disrespect towards you and everything else, all this other stuff. Mind you, majority of the time, people are saying stuff like that. They're single. They're not even in the game. You know that's kind of like how I look at it, kind of like the basketball. When the fans are trying to tell the coaches, or fans trying to tell the players and everything else. It's like, yeah, you watch the game as entertainment, but you're not playing. You don't understand the day to day. So since you don't understand the day to day, it pulls me away from you. I'll listen to you a little bit less because you don't understand the day to day and what everything that goes into it. Because the moment stuff is going wrong, just because stuff is going wrong for a whole year, all right, let's just say stuff went wrong for a whole year. The fact of the matter that you suck it through, I give you props. The fact of the matter that you suck it through, I give you flowers. But the fact of the matter, if you were to just out and just leave and say, no, I'm gonna start off on another relationship because this one wasn't going right for a whole year. If you think for a second that you're gonna be happy for a whole year without going through things, or like, not saying that it was miserable the entire year, you know, because I saw it to the person. I know this person pretty well. I ain't gonna say the name, but I know this person pretty well. But anyways, yeah, that person went through a lot. And only advice that I kept giving them was like, yo, I can see you. I can see what you're trying to do. I know it's gonna be challenging because, like, hey, I've been through my own dirt, but I would say this, right? Keep going. Because you're like, at the end of the day, regardless of the matter, you want to be with this person. He was like, yeah. He chose her. So he was like, I know she ain't perfect, but I'm not looking for perfect. But I know the stuff that he told me, the stuff that he saw in her, he knew that he could grow with that. And I was like, yo, that is what's key. The fact that you know that you can grow with that, that's key. Do it. Do your thing, my guy. Do your thing. Because at the end of the day, long as, to me now, this is my opinion, my proper opinion, but to me is that as long as you're happy, why not? Why not? Why not do everything that you can do to keep you and your partner together? For one, let's be honest here. Everyone's been in a relationship that didn't work. It happens to the best of us. And there's no one actually teaching us how, okay, you should be in this type of relationship, you shouldn't be this type of relationship. Every relationship is different. And whatever works for you may not work for the next person. So it's like, we have to understand that. And I think we do at this point. But what I would add on to that is that when you're dating someone, let's not shoot for someone's perfect. All right, let's not put our standards so high that we're not dating anyone. So that's another thing too. If your standards are so high that you can't even date anyone, we gotta look at the common denominator. Maybe we should lower our standards a little bit. Let's say, for example, you haven't dated in 5 years. 5 years? Well, my follow-up question would be, do you even want to be with anyone? Have you accepted just being alone and just kind of sat on that? Because if you're not trying to go in that direction, you know, with a dog named Pongo, dog named Scrappy, I'll say first. Dog named Scrappy, like, then it's like, yo, come on. We have to figure out what we can do to make this work. Because if not, guess what? We'll start a new relationship with someone else, right? What happens when we start a new relationship? You got the honeymoon phase. After the honeymoon phase, then things start getting real again. So when things start getting real, guess what happens? It's not a 1, 2 thing that happen. Let's say, for example, you're not getting attention you want. You're being ignored. You know, that person's not respecting you how you want to be respected. What are you going to do? Are you going to leave? Possible. But if you leave, then you be starting right back over again. I'm not saying, to me, it's like, if there is nothing, like, you know, no one's putting their hands on you, or none of that, or no type of verbal stuff that's really harming you in any type of way, or if it's not those things, or there's not a constant, he's not constantly cheating on you and everything else. So it's like, there are things that'll be like, okay, I understand why you left, you know. But if it's not those things above, like, why didn't you just try to figure it out and make it work? You got people that's like, even the whole thing with being disrespected. He was telling me, like, yo, he was being disrespected for a whole year, right? Wow. If you are question, would you even stay in a relationship that you feel like you are being disrespected for a whole year? That's a solid question right there. If you ask me, I say hell yeah. Because I'm thinking about if there's 365 days in a year. I'm thinking about that 366th day. Because that one day after that year will determine a lot for me. You know, not even determine if I leave. No, I'm still saying. But in that process, I know that this person has learned more about me to not do these things. Because sometimes people assume that everyone understands what is disrespect and what is not disrespect. No, they do not. Even when you explain to people, it is not the same. If it's 5 of us, all 5 of us can watch a movie and everybody has a different perspective of it. All 5 of us. So you can't tell me that everyone sees and perceives things the same way. You don't. So it's like when we're looking at our standards, the standards are high standards are based upon, to me, your history, to me, your environment. So your history, your environment, and what type of person you are. So all 3 of those count in effect. Your history, that means your dating history. What's been the past 5 guys that didn't work because you're single now. Remember this. So the past 5 guys that you dated, or the past 5 women that you dated, how were they? Above average, average. What was it? And what did you consider to be above average? Because a lot of times people say they'll date somebody above average when they're really talking about average stuff. Oh, she gotta cook. She gotta clean. She gotta be submissive. She has to listen. Oh, really? Really? She has to do all those things? A woman that can cook, a woman that can clean, a woman that can be submissive. I think those are all average things. I'm just saying. You know. Now, when you start talking about above average, you can add all those things up and you can be like, okay, she has to be a virgin too. She has to have a great family relationship. Okay. She has to respect her father and on a whole nother level type of deal. You know? Because when you start adding those things in, to me, she has to be super religious, right? To me, you add those things in and you're saying, okay, that person could be above average. Just because it's more of a rarity. Meaning that it's rare for a woman to be all 5. To be submissive, to be like, cook, clean, which is average, right? But when you throw in being a virgin, throw in being family orientated all the time, being respecting the father, a lot of fathers not even in the house. So when you add those things in there, it's like you're creating a rare person. Oh, she has to have a great job. She needs to make $100K. Really? So you telling me that she needs to make $100K too? Wow. So now you're really making her a rarity, But now let's flip it. Let's take it to the guy, right? Okay, he has to be a provider. He has to be a leader. Oh, okay, so you want him to provide, lead, what else? Well, I think we're getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves now. Let's go back a little bit. So let's say the past 5 guys that you had, right? Let's say what were they? It's either they was above average or average, right? If not below, right? So let's say, for example, they were average guys. They're average guys. Of course, they have a decent job. The average guy in America makes in between 30,000 to 45,000. And I think 30,000. No, I'm lying. 30,000 to 50,000 a year, right? So as far as being a provider goes, that's gonna be the high end. The 30,000 to about 50,000 a year, which is not a lot when you break it down. It's not a lot at all. So it's like that's what he's making. Then on top of that, let's see, for example, okay, if he has a steady job, mind you, he has to have a steady job. If he doesn't have a steady job, then that will take him out of the average pool and put him in the below average pool. Below average guys are making are on and off with jobs, or don't even have jobs at times. See, and they're bumming their way from one lady to another lady to another lady. So it's like, wait a minute, what is really going on? Especially if you're dating them. Now I understand if you're trying to get out the pool of dating them and date someone that's more average, that's actually average, I would say, that's a different story. But when you go from, let's say you dating homeless Joe to trying to date Kevin with $300,000 and everything else, a mansion, a pool, and everything, that becomes a different story. I think it becomes a different story. So it's like, wait a minute, you left homeless Joe, which was a great thing. Should have never got with him in the first place. That's the first problem right there. But it's a great thing that you left homeless Joe. But now you're shooting for the stars, saying, hey, I'm not even gonna date the average guy. So now you're starting to cross out your pool. And let's get a better understanding of what's the above average guy before we go to the average guy, right? So it's like above average guy, he's gonna be making over $100,000, or at least $100,000 a year. So that's the first part. So okay, he has a steady income. He makes $100,000 a year plus, right? The other part is he keeps himself up. Like let's get a great understanding here too. Another thing that I notice about a lot of men is that they don't keep themselves up as far as grooming goes. They don't keep if they have a haircut, they don't keep the haircut done all the time. It's like they make it seem like they don't have time to do the essentials, you know. But above average guy does. So above average guy, he has cologne on. He smells good. He's showing up clean to you all the time. He's pulling up in a nice car, or a nice Mercedes, or whatever the car may be, you know what, and walking around the other door to open the door for you and let you in. You know, he's being a little bit more of a gentleman because guess what? He has the time, space, and the peace of mind. So let's speak on that as well too. Above average guy has a peace of mind. Meaning that, let's say for example, the homeless Joe is homeless Joe for a lot of reasons. He's stressed out. He never knew how to, no one ever pushed him in the right direction, or he rejected, he stayed with his mom. His mom never told him to, hey, you gotta fix your life and everything else. Or his dad was in the picture, all these other problems with homeless Joe. But you got Kevin? Nah. Kevin makes over $100,000, has a peace of mind. He's steady. Because the last thing you want to be is with somebody that's broke. Someone that's broke, especially if he knows he's broke, he's going to do everything he can do. Is that if he's happy where he's at, or he's not happy where he's at. So there's only two type of people. One that's happy, and you don't want to be happy with a homeless Joe. Homeless Joe, when he's happy, he okay with you paying for everything. And that's I don't recommend that for any woman, regardless of what you're trying to do. And people say, oh, money is not everything. You literally need money to do everything. It's either somebody's paying for it upfront or already. Are they paying for it upfront, or are they paying for it ahead? Either way, someone paid for it, now or later, one or the other. So it's like, hey, if money is a factor, because it just is. And it's just, so it's like, this Kevin makes that much, has a peace of mind, take care of you in the right way, treat you out, you know, with gifts at times, stuff like that. Not crazy, but he's able to show you a life that is worth living, right? A life that will be great with him and everything else. Homeless Joe can't do that. Homeless Joe can't even get you nothing for your birthday. Homeless Joe wants you to get him something for his birthday, probably yours as well. Let's be honest, you know. So it's like those are some of the things that's like, all right, now that was above average, right? Now let's talk about average. I waited on average just for these reasons, right? Because I think average is great. Average is, he makes $30,000 to $50,000 a year. Average is, he can show you a good time. He may not be able to take you out every night or every week, but at least twice a month he can take you out. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? He's consistent. Average is, he goes to work, he comes home. You're home. Boom. You know? Average is, he's not going to be able to be like, hey, okay, I'm going to retire you. That's above average. Above average guy, he can retire you. Average guy, nah. Average guy, he be like, hey, you know what? You gotta work, I gotta work. But whatever you lack on, I'm gonna support you on, and whatever I do, I'll expect you to do the same thing. That is more of average. Average is, hey, there's a higher chance for him not cheating on you because guess what? He appreciates what he has. Now, downside to being above average is that, hey, if he wanted to, he wouldn't see nothing different about cheating on you. Only if he wanted to. Now, but average is not trying to do that. And let's be honest, if we're really looking at it, all three of them might cheat. I said it. All three of them might cheat, but there's a higher chance that average won't do it. Homeless Joe, come on now, it's Homeless Joe. He's happy where he at. He gonna cheat. I wouldn't even trust a Homeless Joe. Like, for real. And I don't even know why you still stuck with Homeless Joe. He should cheat on you just for you still being with Homeless Joe. Let's be honest. Like, no. It makes no damn sense. For real. So it's like, yeah, that's what you get. If you date a bum and you're happy with dating this bum, but this bum cheats on you, you dated a bum. Congratulations. I'm sorry. I feel bad for no one that does something that, in a way, not helping yourself. So, and another thing about being average is that you're able to have just about everything that average person would have, but you have to do it together. Because the average person is making 30 to 50. So 50 is the high end, 30 is it's the low end, right? So let's try to find our way somewhere in the middle. So let's say 40,000, right? So if the average person that you're dating is actually making 40,000, which is not bad. In 10 years, something like that, he might end up jumping up from that to 65 or some crap like that. But with that being said, you're combining two incomes because of course you got to work. So when you're combining two incomes, so if he was making 40 and you're making 40, that's 80. And technically speaking, the average woman is making more than the average guy. So let's say, for example, he's making 40 and you're making 50. You almost add $100,000 a year already. That's just starting off dating, So it's like you guys have already built up something that you already started to make almost $100,000. That's great. Hey, if the average guy can provide that, cool. Or the average woman can provide that. Now, this is what I would say. A thing about, I would say, women, right? Is that like most women rather date someone that's making the same as them, if not more. So if, for example, if you're making less than them, they might just cross you out. You might not even qualify to be with them. And that's my whole take on it right there. As far as, are you dating, are your standards too high? So it's like, man, if I'm making $100,000, right? If a woman's making $100,000 and she only wants to date someone that's making $100,000, if not more than her, I would find that to be problematic because you're crossing out so much of a big pool of people, right? And that's when I'll say I think your standards are a little bit too high, at least in this category. Not saying in everything, but at least in this category. I'll have to break it down into categories just because it's like, wait a minute. I like all these other things that you have in there, but I can't say that there's a good chance of you finding this type of guy. And here's the other thing about it too, though. For a guy that makes a lot of money, like the above average guy that makes a lot of money, he doesn't care if you make $100,000. It doesn't make any. It doesn't ring any bells for him. It doesn't make him feel special. Oh yeah, my wife makes $100,000 as well. No, it doesn't. If anything, he's probably thinking to himself like, I can't even retire you because you make the same as me. So in a way, you're kind of taking away something from him, not even intentionally, unintentionally. So it's like, wait a minute. Why date you when I can date someone that's making 40, making 30, that's probably going to listen to me a little more? Since we make about the sense, me and the girl that makes $100,000, guess what? We make about the same. So the advice that I have, she probably wouldn't even take it, or she probably be less lenient to take it, like less likely to take it, just because like, know what? Hey, I didn't have to do it that way. You know, saying stuff of that nature. So it's like, wait a minute. All right, well, you don't really listen as much as the person that makes 30. You know, you don't. You had to work hard. You had to like change some of your perspectives on things. You had to become something greater so that you can even reach this level, right? So then I'm thinking, all right, well, if that's the case, then she had to become somewhat masculine, right? Or somewhat dominating in the field that she's in, because she's making 100,000, if not more, right? So she had to do something. I'm not saying that she can't cut it off, but that's just like saying a guy wears a dress until he meets a girl. Oh, I just take the dress off. No, it don't work like that. You know, just because you take it off doesn't mean it wasn't there. I still got the image in my head. If a guy would do that in front of a girl, she probably wouldn't even date him at all. That's just we're putting everything on the table. She probably would not date him at all. And I think the same way when it comes down to being masculine, when women are being masculine, it's like it doesn't just go right off the table. That image is already there. So it's like, I would say, if I was giving out advice and I was talking about women and their standards being high, or guys when their standards being high, first on women's side, because there's two different ballgames for one. For women's side, I'm thinking like, yo, for one, yes, loyalty is a great thing. You know, make sure to me, it's like, is he a good guy? That's the first question. I don't care how much he makes. Is he a good guy? Then I'll ask you how much he makes. If he doesn't make anything at all, he's a good guy, I wouldn't recommend him. Just because of the fact that, let's say, for example, and this is why I say money is important. Just for example, let's say, for example, he gets you pregnant. If you're the primary person that makes the most money, or making all the money, right? And you got homeless Joe over here that you say is a good guy, right? But homeless Joe got you pregnant, and homeless Joe is not even looking for a job while you're pregnant. You're gonna be down for a long time. Unless you're just making this hell of money, you don't mind taking care of homeless Joe, cool. But that is your decision. That's gonna be like, let's say for example, if you expect him to be a great father, come on, would you tell your kids to do the same thing he's doing? Let's be honest. Would you tell your kids to be, hey, you know what? Don't get a job. You can find someone that is acceptive of you, that will accept you no matter what, without you working at all. And it'll be a perfect fit. No, you wouldn't tell them that. You would literally tell your kids, hey, you know what? That person may not be fit for you. And that same thing I was telling her. Like, hey, don't get pregnant by homeless Joe. He can't even take care of you he can't even take care of you while you're down. Who's gonna help provide? If you get pregnant and you could be down for, I don't know, let's say 2 months, 2 or 3 months, right? Who's gonna take care of you? Who's gonna help pay the bills? Is anything gonna change? Do y'all need to get a smaller place because, hey, homeless Joe's not getting a job? You know? That is the primary reason why I say not to mess with someone that doesn't have a job or doesn't have ambitions on growing or anything like that, you know? Now, if you are working on your business and everything else, you just haven't made any money from it yet, cool. That's fine. But if it's none of those things and you're just living your best life, playing Xbox and or PlayStation, whatever the case may be, come on, man. We can't do this. We cannot do this. You know? And again, those are low standards. And the average woman that makes 100K wouldn't even touch that man in the first place. You know? So that right there, that shows you a lot. So again now, if she's dating a guy that's average, of course, guess what? he will be able to handle everything while she's down. So while she's down for 3 months or whatever the case may be, while she's pregnant, guess what? He'll be able to step in, take care of things. But again, now, if we're talking about how can he step up in those areas, those are one of them. And the only person that's gonna do that is an average person or above average person. Above average person gonna tell you to quit your job. He's gonna tell you that you do not need to work anymore. You having my first child, you having my child in general. Don't work. That's above average standards right there. Don't need you to work. He don't want you answering to no man but him. That's above average. So it's like when y'all have conversations, hey, we have family conversations. But your boss, no boss. That's above average. So it's like I always would tell anyone that's listening, hey, especially if you're a woman, don't date someone that doesn't have a job, regardless of how great that person makes you feel. Because at the end of the day, if something were to happen or something were to go on, or let's say you need emergency on, you need somebody to, like, you know, your credit cards are locked for whatever reason and you need something, that person would not be able to provide anything. And a person that can't provide anything for you should not be with you. I said it. A person that cannot provide anything for you should not be with you. Regardless of how they make you feel, how important you think this person is to you, no. Cut them off. Or you don't got to cut them off, but do not allow them to benefit from you. Because at the end of the day, it's like this, right? You choose how you want to be treated by the way when someone do you wrong, you react. If you say that, okay, they just being them, that's you creating an excuse for them to still continuously screw you over or continuously be themselves and screw you over. And you're leaving that door open for them to do it again. Nah, not in my book. Friends and family on the same level. They cross me, you're out. That's it. Hey, I might see you again at the family reunion, but that's it. It won't be no talking after that either. Like it might not be talking at the family reunion, to be honest with you. But that's me. That's definitely me. But as far as your standards being high, we have to look at the charts. Now we just did women. Let's do some of the guys. Man, you know, I would say that at least for the most part, of course it depends on what type of guy you are, of course. But if you're like the average guy, you should be pretty fine. Because your pool is pretty open for the most part. Because like I would think that the average guy doesn't mind dating someone with, now women without a job is different from guys without a job. There are two different ballparks here. So women without a job, hey, that's cool. She can focus on me more. We can grow, spend more time together. Because that's the other thing about other thing about when you have someone that's working as well. You guys are going to spend a little less time together because both you guys are working. Now, as far as guys goes, I know plenty of guys that date a girl that doesn't have a job at all, that stays with her parents, which is kind of the ideal in a way. Like, oh, why would you want a girl that doesn't work and everything else? It don't matter to them. They don't care. They do not care. You know? But see, I would recommend that same thing for a girl though. If a girl sees that a guy is still staying with his mom and he doesn't have a job and everything else, I'll tell that girl to leave that man. Don't even speak to him. You know? Show him that you're a higher standard than that. You know? Make that man do something before you even entertain him. You know? But for guys, I think for the most part, now when I say that are your standards too high for guys, I'm thinking like, okay, he's basically looking for the Virgin Mary. He's looking for somebody that's a virgin. He's looking for someone that's like, you know, of course she stays with her parents continuously. She has a mom and her dad in her life. She respects her. Her mom has taught her some traditional ways and everything else. Her dad has been there and she respects her dad on a whole nother level as far as just like being a guy, and she learned and respect him. And again, now if I go back to it, I would say that most guys are not in their child's life. Most men, So it's like the ones that are, that's a bonus. Oh man, that's a bonus. Thank God for them. Like, hey, appreciate you guys every day. But those are some of the stuff. Then if we're going again for the above average woman, she got to make $100,000 too. Why? Now, if you're an average guy, it wouldn't really bother you too much that she's making $100,000 because again, like it really don't matter, because you would date, I don't know, I'm about to say a homeless Jessica, which is fine. She's perfectly fine, fit into the routine, stuff like that. But if you're trying to look for someone that's 25 years old, that's a virgin, that's respected in traditional ways and everything else, not posting herself on Instagram or anything social media, no sexy pics or nothing like that, doesn't have a following and all this other crazy stuff, no one really knows her too much. It's like, man, my first question to him would be like, what was the last 5 women that you dated? Now, if he says the last 5 women that he dated was just like that, I'm like, man, but you was not able to keep them. They chose to date you, but it's something about you that didn't work because you're the common denominator at the end of the day. You are the common denominator. So now I'm thinking, right? So if you dated 5 above average women, right? What happened? Why didn't it work? Now, if he says that they cheated or they lied or anything, stuff like that, then guess what? They didn't want you in the first place. They figured out what you was, and they did not want you. They thought that they was getting, I don't know, they thought they was getting Publix, but they really got Walmart. I'm just saying. They thought they was getting top of the shelf when they really was getting bottom of the barrel. And once they got the bottom of the barrel, they didn't even know what to do with you. So they stepped out, cheated, they stepped out, lied, So they started doing things. They're just like, wait a minute. I think that if you were to start dating or get with someone that is above average, for men or for women, the first thing I do is try to figure out how to keep them. Try to figure it out. Regardless of the matter if you're not happy with what they're doing in the beginning, because you might be happy at the end. But that beginning may take over a year. You may need to be unhappy. Well, yeah. I'm just saying. You may need to be unhappy for a year. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about someone doing something that you don't like for a whole year? Are you willing to stick with them? Come on. No? Nah. I'm getting a lot of no's here. But see, that's the whole problem right there. If you're not willing to stick stuff out, especially when you found somebody that's above average, then you take your ass back to the average. Go back to the average. Go back to the below average. Because above average requires something. Just like average requires something. Below average don't require something. If you want to be in a spot that you can just be free and be yourself and all this other great stuff, right? Yeah, below average. Below average. If you want to be somewhere where it's going to challenge you to become better, average or above average. Every time. If you don't want to be challenged, you don't want to become anything greater, you don't want to have any ambitions, stuff like that, you don't want to do anything, below average. Let me tell you why. Because that below average person is not going to ask nothing else from you. Whatever you do is going to be more than enough. But don't expect nothing back from them either. So that's the other part that you must have to understand too. If you're going to have Scrappy, the dog, with you, and Homeless Joe, and you got to take care of them both, take care of them both. But like, realistically speaking, do you really want that? Do you really want to be the sole and provider of your relationship? As a guy, to me, I'm fine with being that. Perfectly fine with it. But as a woman, hell no. No. I'm thinking that if a woman says that, then I guess like maybe she makes so much money that it doesn't matter. Like, it's to the point that like being with someone that doesn't have a job doesn't matter, right? Cool. But as a guy, it's like, man, something else got to give. I'm thinking if a guy is shooting for someone that's all these other things that haven't met anyone, never dated before, that's around his age. Let's say you're around 25 years old, that's a virgin, never dated anyone, so you don't have any type of relationship traumas and nothing like that, or no relationship baggage with no kids or nothing like that. Like, man, you're in for some work. If I were to meet someone like that, I would think that you would put more work into it just because of, hey, this is above average woman here. Someone that you're not gonna run across on a daily basis. That too makes you above average. Someone that her personality is cool. It's cool. But the things that she's was taught and how she is with her family, how she is with her dad, how she is with her mom, how she treats, how she cleans, how she does every other thing, and she listens, and she's a virgin, and she don't be posting all this stuff on Instagram or Facebook, whatever the case may be, man, I would think that you try a little harder to keep her. I would think so. And for the women, I would think that for this above average guy, you are willing to tolerate a little more. I would think that you're willing to tolerate stuff that you would not tolerate from homeless Joe. Or even the average guy. So it's like on different levels, of course. If the average guy's not really let's say for example, I think cheating can be like put in there as well. Like homeless Joe cheating, hell no. Hell no. If homeless Joe cheating on you, well, for one, you deserve it. I'm sorry. You deserve this because you chose homeless Joe. But if homeless Joe is cheating on you, I would think that you would not tolerate it because you do not deserve to be cheated on someone that can't provide nothing for you at all. You might send your ass to the clinic a few times. But that's homeless Joe. That's what you get. Now, the average guy, I go by a rule, right? 2 is a pattern. So the first time he does something like that, figure out why. What's going on between y'all two? Make it work. Make it work. Because this is the average guy. You said that he's a great guy. You said that he does all these things for you. He may not be perfect, but he does, let's say, 7 out of 10 or 6 out of the 10. He does 6 out of the 10 things that you require. Cool. Figure out, are you doing those 6 things out of the 10 that he required? Maybe that's the reason. Not saying that it's justified, but maybe that's the reason why. I'm just saying. So it's like, if that's the average person, like, no, what, cool. Make that work. Now, the above the average, hey, he don't blow up on him. Don't blow up on him. Because at the end of the day, the above average guy has way more options than the average guy, than homeless Joe. So it's like, there's a way that you want to address the issue with him in the correct manner that don't put yourself outside. Don't set yourself on fire. Don't do that. Address it in a way that you both can get a good understanding. Like, however you do it. Like, hey, you didn't appreciate him stepping out, but of course he wasn't trying to get caught. But like, hey, if that man making over $100,000, it's kind of, I would say he's more like, depending on the guy, of course. He's more likely to. Just depending on him. So it's like he has a chance to do things and be places that the average guy doesn't have time to do. The average guy is working 9 to 5. That's why I say he's home at night. Now, the above average, no. The above average, no. The above average, he has time to go on vacation 5 times. Not even 5 times. Like, he's able to go whenever he decides to go. So he wants to take a month off. The above average take a month off. And that's why I say he's a retiree. So it's like he's offering you a lot more than the average guy and the below average guy. So it's like those two don't even fit in his bubble. So it's like I would think that you wouldn't treat him the same way you treat the average or the below average. Oh, I can't take that stuff. What? If you leave a relationship, right? Here's another thing too. If you leave a relationship and you get with someone that does less than the person that you left, how would you feel? You left a relationship to get with someone that does less. He does less, right? Now let's add in some things, right? Let's add in a few things. You was in a relationship for 5 years. You was dating Kevin, making over $100,000. Great life. Everything's great. He's doing 7 out of those 10. Not 10. No, he's doing 7 out of those 10. But he's providing you a lifestyle, saying that he's gonna retire you, in the next few years and all this other stuff. But Kevin ends up cheating on you twice. He ends up cheating on you twice. You tell Kevin, oh, you're not taking this. You can get another one of him. You start over. You want to break up. You break up with Kevin. Now you start dating someone else. You start dating the average Joe. Right? You start dating the average guy, right? The average guy treats you pretty decent, but at the same time, he can't provide you everything like the above average guy is providing you, right? And you kind of let it be known, like, oh yeah, I was dating this other type of guy. He was doing all this stuff right here, but he cheated on me, whatever the case may be, right? Turns out that average guy cheated on you twice, so. Man. And again, you go back. Your standards are too high. Oh, no. I'm not dealing with this. This one thing I will not deal with. Oh, he cheated on me, so-and-so, whatever. All right, call it off, right? He was like, he wasn't even doing enough for you like that last guy was anyway. So it's like, why tolerate, all right? All right, cool. All right. So then you start dating Homeless Joe. Homeless Joe. Oh, good Homeless Joe. Homeless Joe, he doesn't treat you right. No, we're not even going in that direction. He does not treat you right. He lies to you. When you find out that he was Homeless Joe, you was disappointed in yourself. Then what else? You found out that he was cheating on you since day one. And it's just like, wait a minute. You slowly went down the scale. Are you happy? Would it have been better if you would have just stuck with Kevin making over 100K? Because at least you knew that, guess what? He was planning on retiring you. Yeah, he stepped out on you twice. Who cares? Y'all could have made that work. He was taking you out, taking you all places. With the average person, you had to work too. So it's like, with Kevin, you never had to work. Kevin didn't want you to work. No, I'm retiring you. With the average guy, you had to work. And with Homeless Joe, you was the main provider. How does those roles feel? To me, they wouldn't feel great if you was just not in none of those roles before. Your previous relationship that you was dating above average person, which you probably only get one shot. Because let's be honest, every year everyone gets older. Every year. So it's like, why would the above average guy just shoot for someone? Let's say, for example, this above average guy, let's say he's 35, right? 35. 35 and thriving. Hey, there we go. But let's say he's 35, right? And let's say the average woman, let's say we're talking about biology, right? Her eggs, she becomes not. I think she loses over 80% of her eggs by the time she's 35. So that means that, man, if he wanted to have a family with you, and you pass 35, you're gonna be high risk. You're going to be high risk. That is biology. There is no way around that. No way around that. So my question would be is that why give up something or treat something as average when you've seen that, hey, if the last 5 people that you dated haven't been above average, let's just say you haven't made it to that above average pool yet, or maybe you need to readjust some of your standards, or on top of that, and I think that's for both parties as well, for men and for women. Everyone needs to readjust. If you dated 5 people in 5 months and none of them worked out, let's look at ourselves first. Let's just look at ourselves. Find out what we can do differently that would fix this problem. Because it is a problem. It's like, man, they're just not, they're not what? Can you help them become, or are they on the way to become? Do they have ambition? What are they doing? Mind you, I do give a lot towards people, or guys and girls with ambition, that's really trying to become something greater. I give a lot to them. So it's like I would never cross them out. Only people that I cross out are the ones that don't have it. Are the ones that you don't have to have it, but the fact that if you're doing nothing, I cross you out automatically. To me, it's like I can't trust someone that doesn't want to do anything. Now, a woman, that's what I say, a woman that is willing to just serve her man and just be there for him, regardless of the matter. She don't have a job, that's fine. But a guy, hell no. I'm sorry. I called it. No. Get yourself up and become something. So, to circle back again about your standards being too high, we're going to look at your history, how you've been able to keep any one of them. And on top of that, I would say, what type of person are you? Like, are you what they want? So it's like everyone talks about these standards, and let's say you meet this perfect person, right? That's high standard that you chose and everything else. Are you what they want? Are you? Are you willing to do the work to become what they want? So it might be easy or it might be hard. Are you willing to not be happy with some of the decisions that they make because they're above average and they see it this way? Some people will say no. Some people will say no. So it's like, are you coming into that relationship willing to follow? Some people say no about that too. If you think that if I'm an above average guy and you think that you're going to come in this relationship and not follow me, then we're not together. We are not together if you think for a second that you're going to come into this relationship and not follow me, especially from above average. Why not? Have your way work? No. From your results. You are your results. So I know your way haven't worked. That simple. So if you think for a second that I'm gonna follow you, how I'm an above average guy and I'm following you? Are you above average woman? No. Because as an above average guy, guess what? I don't care if you are low on the scale or high on the scale. It doesn't matter to me. It does not matter to me. But again, when we're talking about standards being high, you must work something out with that. If it's been a while and you haven't dated in years, it might just be you. Maybe your standards are so high that you can't. Maybe your standards are so high because you set them so high because you don't want to meet anyone. That's the other question too. You might not want to meet anyone. You're like, oh no, he's too tall. Oh no, she's too tall. Oh no, she don't know how to hold a conversation. She don't know how to hold a conversation. That's why you broke up with her? Because she could not hold a conversation? Really? Wow. You broke up with him because of what? Because he didn't open the door for you? Are you aware that this is something that can be taught? I'm just saying, hey, if little things like that stop you from being with somebody long term, then you might want to look at some of your results and think like, hey, the common denominator is me. Maybe there's something I should change. I'm just saying, maybe it's something I should change. At the end of the day, you must evaluate yourself. Ask yourself these questions, right? What can I do to make this better? If I want this relationship to work, would it be worth it? Come on. Would it be worth it? You know? All right, what type of person are you choosing? And for me, a big thing too, though, is that people hate to. A big thing about that is people hate to settle. People hate to settle. They hate it. The first thing that comes to mind is like, man, why settle for someone that doesn't even make 100K? Really? You know the people that make 100K, a lot of times they end up making higher than that. You know, people that make 50K end up making more than 50K. They don't stay at that level of 50K. You know, they go above it. You know, not saying that that's just, it can't always, like, money's a factor as long as you make it. Then after you make it, it's no longer a factor. So it's like you bring it to the table so it can be there on the table. But that's not the ending part of it. You know, everything else is in the part of it. Okay, now what type of person is this person? I'm just saying. If you're scared to settle with someone, or you don't want to settle with someone, first ask yourself, is there a pro with settling? Is there a con with settling? Because if your standards are so high, damn, everybody under that, you may feel like you have to settle for. I don't want to settle with this type of person. What type of person are you? What type of person are you? Because if you don't want to settle for XYZ person, like, hey, the average person that makes 30 to 50K a year starting off, right? You don't want to settle for him. He's loyal, come home every day. Then it's like, but you don't want him to cheat on you. But then again, the above average person, he has a lot more options. So if he were to cheat on you, he probably would do it again just because he's above average. And there are more of you than there are of him. Meaning that there are a lot more pretty women, beautiful women, than there are high value guys, as far as guys that make a great amount of money, that's a good personality, that's not gonna cheat, that's not gonna cheat, and I would say that just carries himself well. that's willing to retire you, willing to take a lot of that stress off your back and take you out on vacations and do things with you all the time. And remember, the above average guy comes with a peace of mind. Have you ever been with somebody that's stressful because they don't got money? That is not above average person. It's not. If money controls your emotions because you're so high and so low, you are not above average. Above average guy, he don't care because he already knows how much he makes. Money's no longer a factor. So guess what? The bills are no longer a factor. Have you ever been stressed out about a bill? Above average guy is not. That's showing you right there. But again, though, if you are afraid to settle for the average guy, or the someone that actually, if you're telling me that, oh, there's no good guys out here, how? How do you know? Because the last few guys that you chose to date didn't work out well? No. Who fault is that? If you chose those guys out, maybe you should have not chose them. I'm just saying. If those guys was above average, how come you weren't able to keep them? If those guys were average, how come you wasn't able to keep them? Now, the below average, at that point, it don't even matter. It's a good thing you're not dating them anymore. But either way, that has to be somewhat of a conversation, I would say. Why weren't you able to keep some of these people? Need to know. Just need to know. Why you weren't able to keep some of these people? And again, we're going to circle back again. Are your standards too high? Too high to settle? Is it too high to settle? Are you not willing to settle for someone that is not at the peak of your standards? Now, I can understand some of the basic stuff, like, having a job, but then again, a lot of women are looking for guys with no kids, too. So it's like, guys are looking for women with no kids, women are looking for guys with no kids. Then it's kind of like a thing where it's like, hey, well, why wouldn't you date a single mother? I don't want to continue the cycle. It's like that's playing someone else's game that's already been started. Your family's already pre-made. So it's like, if I were to give advice to like my kids or anything like that, I'd say, hey, you know what? I understand that if you're dating and everything else, and like especially when they get to that age and stuff like that, I'd be like, hey, well, if you can date someone without kids, do that first. Because just because this person has kids and a pre-made family and everything else, that's a lot more responsibility. When you break up with that person, you have no rights to those kids. You don't. So that's a con. So it's like, on top of that, let's say, for example, they're not even letting you discipline that child. That's a con. And with that being said, you're not really able to be a full parent. You're a parent with restrictions. Depending on the mother, what she allows, she gives you rights to do whatever. You don't have those rights because technically that's not your child. So that's why she allows you to do certain things. And you're probably going to be asking her, oh, can I do this? No. I think that's too aggressive. Really? If a child respects me, that's too aggressive? Yes. And that's another thing too, though. When dating someone with kids, I understand that when women and guys are not looking for someone with kids because you all come second. I think it's hard to put your partner in front of your kid when it comes out and stuff like that. That's not possible. But I definitely understand that it's a bit of a challenge, But again, this is why I'm saying that, and with everything being said, are your standards too high? Somewhat, yes. If you've been dating a lot, you might want to reevaluate some of the things you've been doing. Because a lot of good guys that make these type of things or do these type of things, they're not that available. A lot of them are already married. A lot of them already got kids. You know, some of them might be having a side piece, but a lot of them are already taken care of. But thank you guys for tuning in to My Unpopular Opinion.